Hello everybody, we're back again with another line of these kids horror-themed books. And this is Bunnicula, spans from, what'd you say, 78, 79 to like early 2000?
Yeah.
But I never read any of these before.
Oh.
And you had read the first 2 or 3 when you were a kid.
I just read a couple. I've got
So-
them at the Scholastic magazine. Let me know if you've gotten those. Because that's where this is the only place I saw them. And this was not the copy, but this is the edition that I had.
And there's the older edition. The
I like that
Camelot.
better.
Yeah, the Camelot.
But this is the, I guess, 90s print of it. And I had this one and I think one other one. And I really liked it. It was animals, which was good for me. And I don't know, these aren't really scary. I don't remember them being scary. They definitely weren't scary as an adult. But they were funny. They're much funnier as an adult, though, I think.
Oh, well, Chester the cat.
Chester is like
But yeah,
the
so
ultimate.
I should say it's the story from the perspective of
the animals.
family's set of pets.
Yes.
And their stories, and they all have some sort of spooky Halloweenish element to them.
Kind of.
But yeah, so all related to that. And the first one you said was written by
The
Deborah
first
and
one
James.
is written by Deborah and James Howe. And then from what I've read, and I haven't read a ton, Deborah died from cancer. I don't know if it had been published yet, but all of the rest were written just by James, who remarried and then married again. He's had quite a life.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the only one written by Deborah was this one. I don't know. I enjoyed them.
Yeah, and they.
I had a good time.
The twist in all of them, the sort of Halloween element in the first one, Bunnicula, is the family, which is a dog and a cat to start off with, and eventually there are more pets and another dog comes into the picture, but the family gets a pet rabbit that they found abandoned in a movie theater during a screening of Dracula, and they end up naming him Bunnicula for a cross between Bunny and Dracula, and the cat, the neurotic cat, who
He's funny.
thinks that the bunny is a vampire and he's sucking the juice out of all the
Well, he
vegetables.
is sucking
He is,
the
he
juice
is.
out of
But
it.
he thinks in his mind it turns him into he thinks he's a vampire. So they all have that. Some are more of a ghost story, a murder mystery in this one, and different things like that. And we'll get into the later ones. But anyway, so we'll talk a little bit about our ratings because we did the same thing. Went through the first one. I think we're probably going to be. First one stands out because it was Deborah and James.
Yeah, I feel like I enjoyed this one better, and I
Yeah.
don't know if she wrote
So the
this
tone,
one.
to me,
The
the
tone
tone,
is
of the
different.
writing's a little different because it's too it was only that the writer in the first one was involved, so the tone is a little bit different. So I ended up giving this one a 9 out of 10.
I gave it a 9 out of 10 as well.
This is
I
just
enjoyed this one.
a great this is the kind of book I would buy my kid or a cousin or someone of that elementary school age book because this is a great standalone, just interesting story that I think kids would really enjoy. I think it's really
Yes.
well done. It's humorous. It's well paced. I think it's just a great kid's story.
Yes.
But then for me, it drops the next one, Holiday
Yeah,
Inn, from a 9. I give this a 6.
I gave it a 7.
Yeah.
It was entertaining, but it was very... I thought you would like it more just because it was like a whodunit.
But that's why I liked it less. The reason you thought I would like it more is the reason I liked it less, because what was good about this is that it had they were believably pets, you know what I mean? It's a perspective of the ant, of the way the dog would think, or the cat, the way you picture them. And this, it felt a little more like taking a human, like an Agatha Christie one, and just changing Miss Whatever to a dog, and changing Miss Whatever to a cat. You know what I mean? That it
Yeah.
felt too much like that. It missed some of the feeling of pets to me in this one. Then Celery Stalks at Midnight went up to a 7 for me, a tiny bit better.
Yeah, I liked this one more just because we got Howie in it.
Yes.
And
yeah. The puppy.
Howie's the puppy that they get at the very end of the second one. And Howie's just hilarious. Howie's really funny. He's really stupid.
And he reminds us both of your parents' dog,
Yes.
too. He reminds him a
Yes.
lot. And yeah. But,
Howie's
yeah.
just hilarious.
So that was alright. And then Nighty Nightmare is when they go camping, right? That's the camping
Yes.
one. Nighty Nightmare.
This actually has a ghost story in it.
I give
this
this one, again, a solid 7. The same. I give it the same.
Yeah, I give it an 8.
So a little bit better, yeah. But this one, it was fun, and you get the best part, which I think we both agree, is the story of the origin of Bunnicula.
Yes.
The cat Chester comes up with this origin story for their vampire bunny, and I think that's the best part and made it a little bit better.
Yes.
This one, because I didn't like the first one so much, I was like, I don't know, getting into it. But Return the holiday, and which I think we'll talk about a little bit.
No.
I gave this a little bit better, 7.5.
I also gave it a 7.5, but this was this is not for children.
Not 90%
This
of
needs
this.
like a cautionary.
90% of this is similar and not as good, like this one, like the first.
That's
Not
Celery
the
Stalks
wrong one.
again.
Like Holiday and sorry, wrong one. But the thing that makes it stand out is the thing that's also super depressing as a kid.
This would
Like
not have
this
been
would
okay.
be because there's a very depressing story about an old dog and his owner, and it is so sad that especially because I've seen so many old home movies of you as a little kid and seeing you wandering around as like a 5-year-old, 6-year-old with all your pet dogs, always like stuffed animal dogs. And I just picture like little you reading this and bawling.
Yeah, this would have
Like,
been. I think this is fine for some
just
children.
bawling.
Like baby, you would have been fine.
Maybe, yeah.
You
but
would
I
have
feel
been
like
okay.
if you had,
But like, I wasn't allowed to watch All Dogs Go to Heaven.
yeah, if you're sensitive,
'Cause I
if you're
was very
a
sensitive.
very sensitive kid, especially when it involves animals and dogs in particular, like like a little kid like me would be like, oh, that's sad, but it's fine. A little kid like you, I feel like you'd be
No, that would have
bawling.
been traumatic for me.
So
I
that
would
one
have
a little bit, yeah.
nightmares. But
And then the last one, which
no, second to
or
last.
second to last one,
Because
where,
Bunnicula Strikes Again.
oh, that's right. I don't have a copy of that one over here.
Yeah,
I was like, wait a minute.
we only
where's
have
the other
one copy, I think,
Yeah,
of
that's right.
Bunnicula
Bunnicula
Strikes
Again.
Again.
Yeah.
This one was weird. I wasn't 100% sold on
What'd
this
you
one.
give that one?
I gave it a 7.
I gave it a 7 too.
No,
About the same as a lot of the other
meh.
ones, kind of right in the
Yeah,
middle.
this was Bunnicula. Because one thing about Bunnicula is he doesn't speak. He doesn't communicate
Yeah.
at all.
But all the other pets do.
All the other
animals
pets do.
Even like the
And
weasel and the
they
other
don't
ones.
think it's weird that Bunnicula doesn't speak at all.
Yeah.
And like Harold the dog can speak his language, which is really weird. Like he speaks like
Yeah. That's
Romanian or
dialect,
something.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. But Bunnicula doesn't speak, but he reads the paper and he goes to find his mommy,
Yeah.
which
But
is just it's
this
like
one,
it's
I
weird.
think, it was not as good from the perspective of what's going on with the pets and things, but this one had a better story with the family.
Yeah, I think
because-
the families usually gets a backseat.
Yeah,
to most of these.
because the family's more of like the setting up, like the family, what's happening in the family, and they go on vacation or whatever, and then the pets do their own thing, or like the family's like a bookend for it.
Yeah.
But here the family was more involved, and this is them trying to save the theater the old movie theater where they originally found Bunnicula, and like that was a little more interesting. So that was more involved. I think like a kid would find that more entertaining than some of the other ones. The parents weren't in one note. But then we get into the next one, which was a step up.
This is the last one.
Yeah, the Bunnicula meets Edgar Allan Crow, and that I gave an 8.
I gave it an 8 as well.
And this was a step up, and this is, we should mention, first time, I think this is the first time where they mentioned the writer in this one.
Yes.
Because in these two, and these came out later, because this one, you wrote down when they came out, this one came out in 1995 and 2006, so that makes sense.
And the original one was in the late 70s.
Yeah, so that makes why this one they have an author, M.T. Graves, who is very clearly R.L. Stine, and he's making fun of R.L. Stine. That makes sense. The first one that he does that in is 1995, Goosebumps. And this one of the kids, was it Peter? One of the kids won.
Yes, Peter's the older one.
One of the kids wins a contest, and in a weird...
Yeah,
turn of
I
events,
don't know.
the writers, he wins a contest for his favorite horror writer who writes what are the stories called? The
Flesh Eaters.
Flesh Eaters, yeah, the Flesh Crawlers.
Flesh Crawlers.
The Flesh Crawlers, Goosebumps, the Flesh Crawlers by M.T. Graves, and he wins a contest for him to come to his school, but instead of staying at a hotel, he stays at his house with his crow, and shenanigans involved. And he's R.L. Stine, and even has like from the opening of Goosebumps where he has that black,
bag, yeah.
the black case and opens and like the notes fall out. And here instead it's stuffed animals come out and like he's actually like a coward and it's funny, but it's that little bit of humor from being a kid who grew up with Goosebumps I think made me like it a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think all the animals are really well done in that one, but just really fun. Just really fun, and I hadn't read most of these. Definitely not scary. Like it's not like trying to be scary. I don't think.
No, I think if you have a kid who is of the Goosebumps age, and I'm always mentioning that because that's the most familiar of all these ones we talk about, and they're very into animals, like they're either big animal lover, or they like really get along with their pet dog or cat or whatever. These might be a little more up their alley, I think. But they just didn't. I don't know. Maybe it's because I have no nostalgia with them. I didn't never read them as a kid. Read them first time as an adult, trying to think of myself as a kid. They aren't as memorable to me as Goosebumps or even like Dead Time Stories. Like they don't have that same impact. But I think part of that is just because I didn't read them as a kid.
Well, and I think it's interesting because as an adult reading these, like the animals are adults, except for Howie, who's a baby.
Yeah.
But like Chester and Harold are adults, and so they're constantly exasperated with the children,
Yeah.
and I think it's really funny, and I think as an adult reading this to your kids, you would find it funnier than some of the Goosebumps ones that are specifically targeted
Yeah.
towards. I don't know. I enjoyed it. They're cute little books.
Yeah, and I do recommend them if you,
Yeah.
you know, if it's a kid who's not quite into the horror, but still wants a little bit of that kind of the Halloween vibe. You know, all
Yeah.
the stories do surround like a ghost story or something, or the vampire or whatever. These are a great way to go about that if they're not interested in the more horror-esque,
Yeah.
vibe, the other ones. So definitely a good series, enjoyable. Glad I actually read them.
Yeah, I'm glad I read them too because I never got around to reading
Yeah.
the majority of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know if there's another series we should read, another kid series.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of them out there, especially that heyday of during the '90s,
Yeah,
where there were a
tons.
lot of this age group kind of horror themed, because they're a little bit before, even the first couple Bunnicula, whatever, and there's a peak in there for those. So that'll be really
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, see you guys in the next video.